It's Monday, October 22nd, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. On the heels of criticisms from trade union officials about government's handling of layoffs in the public sector, Head of the Civil Service, Dr. Louis Woodruff, assures every effort is being made to ensure affected workers are treated fairly. In a statement issued by the Government Information Service, he said some workers, particularly security guards, were notified last Friday and they received their package, which includes an exit check for vacation leave, severance and other entitlements. According to Woodruff, layoffs in the General Service, the Ministry of Transport, Works and Maintenance and the Post Office started today and will be completed by Wednesday. He stressed that every effort is being made to ensure there is a smooth process according to the established last in, first out principle. With a record 59 house fires so far this year, Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson is again urging Barbadians to insure their homes. Over the weekend, 3 houses, 2 in Silver Hill, Christchurch, and 1 at Messiah Street, St. John, were destroyed by fire, leaving more than a dozen people homeless. Speaking on the sidelines of a presentation of tablets at the St. Albans Primary School this morning, Hinkson, who holds responsibility for the fire service, says Cabinet is worried about the reoccurring problem, and he urged Barbadians not to take chances.
The first thing is the majority of Barbadians, certainly those who reside in chattel houses, do not insure their houses, and we urge you, please insure their houses. One of the commitments of the government of which I am a part is to try to facilitate this. I mean, this is something that governments over the last 40 years have been trying to address, how to get compulsory home insurance, and it has defeated all previous governments. We are committed, even if not in the short term, in the long term, to try to facilitate this issue. Up to Friday, the Prime Minister and other members of Parliament had a brief discussion on how we can try to get this done in the long term.
Police have revealed the identity of the man who was shot at Graham Hall Road near Top Rock, Christchurch around 12:45 yesterday. He is 28-year-old Shamar Toby of Maxwell, Christchurch, who is believed to be a coconut vendor. Police are asking anyone with information that could assist their investigations to contact Police Emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477, or the nearest police station. Police are also continuing investigations into the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Shaquille Greenidge of number 61 Kensington Lodge, St. Michael, who was riding a motorcycle between King Street and Chapman Street when a group of masked men opened fire on him. Don't sideline nurses. That's the call from Vice President of the International Council of Nursing, Dr. Pamela Cipriano, speaking at the opening of the Caribbean Nursing Organization 31st Biennial Conference at the Hilton Resort. She noted that while nurses are integral to the provision of health care, they are often overlooked when authorities formulate critical health policies.
ICN wants to ensure nurses' voices are included in key health care decisions everywhere. So let me tell you something that I use all the time now. Whenever I'm in a group, particularly not nurses, because we all get this. We know we need nurses at those decision-making tables. But when I'm with other multidisciplinary colleagues, what I make sure I say to them is, if you're in a meeting, or you're at a conference, or you're somewhere where there's an important decision being discussed about healthcare, what you need to do is look to your left and look to your right. And if there's not a nurse who's part of that discussion, you are missing an absolutely critical voice, and they need to be there.
The conference continues until Saturday. After 4 years of service in Barbados, friends, relatives, and well-wishers said farewell to outgoing Cuban ambassador to Barbados, Francisco Fernandez Pena, today. In a special event at the Hospitality Institute in Hastings, Christchurch, the ambassador was showered with thanks for his tenure in Barbados as individuals reminisced on his life and work since he took up the post here in 2014. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott, said it was with a tinge of sadness that Barbados said thank you and a fond farewell to the ambassador who provided outstanding service.
Ambassador, there is no denying that you have accomplished a great deal during your tenure here in Barbados. As you know, there remains considerable scope for cooperation in the many areas of common interest. And one such area of ongoing cooperation is that of education. When the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training finalizes a memorandum of understanding with the Cuban Ministry of Higher Education, greater opportunities would exist to strengthen cooperation and exchanges in educational tourism, language training, agriculture, special needs education, the culinary, visual and performing arts.
Ambassador Pena also expressed his gratitude for the deep friendship forged between the two countries during his tour of duty.
We are so, appreciative of the love, friendship, cooperation that we have found here in Barbados. And I also remember another phrase by our famous writer, Alejo Carpentier. He lives here in Barbados. And he wrote 4 articles for Bean. Bean, my friend Francis is here, the magazine created by Frank Oliver Hall. And one of the ideas that he developed at that time was that we all in the Caribbean, we have similarities, but also peculiarities. And in this diversity, we have been working very grateful, very, That's why in this moment, it's better for me to keep something here.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, Trinidad and Tobago today began the task of mopping up following heavy rains over the past 4 days that caused widespread flooding, landslides, and left millions of dollars in damages. There were no reports of deaths or people missing, but many citizens remain housed at hurricane shelters, mainly in the south, central, and eastern parts of the country, where the floods have wreaked havoc. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management said that at least 150,000 people were directly affected by the torrential rains. National Security and Communications Minister Stuart Young told the news conference today the country was not out of the woods just yet, but he noted that the water had begun to recede. The Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association announced that it had created a campaign, Fund Me TNT, to help raise funds for those affected by the floods, and already 65 donors had contributed just over 28,000 TT dollars. Government has also reached out to the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility to secure funds to kickstart the cleanup operations. And the Association of Trinidad and Tobago Insurance Companies has urged affected citizens to start to prepare their claims. Further afield, United States President Donald Trump today vowed to begin curtailing tens of millions of dollars in American aid to 3 Central American nations and called a caravan of migrants bound for the United States a national emergency as he sought to boost his party's chances in the November 6 congressional elections. More in this report from Reuters Television.
As several thousand people, predominantly from Honduras, slowly wind their way north toward the U.S. border, U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday calling the migrants a national emergency.
We have been giving so much money to so many different countries for so long, and then when we ask them to keep their people in their country, they're unable to do it.
The so-called caravan traveled through Guatemala and over the weekend crossed a river into Mexico. Reuters correspondent Delphine Schrenk spoke with some of the migrants heading for the city of Tapachula.
That helicopter overhead is a military helicopter circling low. That's an ominous sign that police may do something or the army may do something to thwart this massive movement of women, children, and men who are fleeing the violence and poverty of Honduras.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.